Thank you for joining us for this video on Boolean searching. You might hear this term thrown around on a few different databases. Basically, what it means is when you're doing a search with just keywords. Today, I'm going to show you how to access Boolean searching and the best way to go about it. So if you're using the St. Mary's database, what you're going to do is open up the search bar to do an advanced search. Now you're going to see this middle part here where it says search filters. The most important part of a Boolean search is this and or not. So it's important to keep in mind that the library database does not work like Google by trying to come up with an answer for the question you're posing. Instead, it works more like a math equation where it takes these and or not as a sort of command. So you have to be very careful what search terms you put in. If you're doing a search for, say, kindergarten education, you can use and to limit the number of results you're going to get. So and would be looking for these two words, kindergarten and education. Let's see how many results we get. So we get about 35,000 results because the database is looking for both of these words together, and it's going to underline them in yellow when it finds them. So remember, because we have this set to any field, it's going to be looking for kindergarten and education anywhere. For this journal, education comes up in the title, and kindergarten shows up in the description. This one is in the title, but if you click into the actual book and scroll down, you'll see a lot more underlined yellow words. Here you'll find education and kindergarten. So the database did the job of doing what you asked it to. Now we're going to use or. So or is going to greatly expand the number of results you're going to get because it's going to be looking for kindergarten or education. So sometimes you might get both or perhaps not. So you see right away that the results went up to about 13 million. That's obviously way too many to search through for this particular query, but depending on what you're searching for, it might be a great way to expand what you're finding, especially if your searches are not turning up as much as you want them to. Now for not. Not is a great way to eliminate a keyword that you find that keeps coming up over and over again. This might not be the greatest example of how to use not, but let's see what comes up. So now what you're telling the database to do is search for only kindergarten, but you don't want the word education to come up at all. We have about 15,000 results, so it actually did work to find something. You can also play around with these different fields. So let's go back and do and perhaps we want to come up with the word kindergarten just in the title and education just in the title. That would make it so you would know right away whether or not the results are something you want. It does change the results quite a bit. Now you only have about 2,000 results compared to thousands and thousands. However, you'll see right at the top, kindergarten education comes up, education kindergarten, and so on. So this is the basics of how to do a Boolean search. Most databases will call it that, or they might call it keyword or phrase searching, but just keep in mind that what it means is when you're combining different keywords together to form a big search strand. Like I mentioned before, it really works almost like a math equation or like BEDMAS, where it's taking these commands and doing them in a particular order. You can also add additional lines. Kindergarten and education, but maybe you don't want the phrase elementary. So now what it's doing is it's prioritizing the and then doing not elementary at the end. So we have about 2,200 results by doing that query. And it shows you exactly what you've searched right here at the bottom. You can play around with the way you want to use fields or what works best to bring up your results, but these are the basics, and I think it's a good place to start if you have a particular list of keywords that you want to try. Sometimes some of them work in order better, so you can play around with how you want to do it and see what comes up. Hopefully this was helpful. Thanks for watching this video on Boolean searching.